Hello, I'm Petteri, technical expert in Forum Virum Helsinki, and I will be introducing our technical requirements and awarding criteria for phase 1 in AI4Cities project. So we have divided our award criteria into 5 categories. The most important of them is the functional criteria, which is 40% of the total score in phase 1. The functional criteria includes CO2 emission reduction, use of AI, and technical innovativeness. Then we have project management criteria, where we evaluate your project plan and the composition and expertise of the project team. Then we have non-functional criteria, where we evaluate impacts on city and citizens beyond CO2 emissions reductions and the disruptiveness of the solution. And then we have commercial feasibility, where we evaluate the business plan and the business case of your solution. And lastly, we have the price. And for each of these criteria, there's a threshold of around 60%. You can see the exact thresholds from tender document 1, but this threshold means that you have to get at least 60% of the available points in each of these criteria to advance to the next phase. And next, I will explain a little bit more about the functional specifications that can also be found in tender document 1. So these are the functional and non-functional criteria. And we have the same requirements for both lots, mobility and energy. And we have had 2 goals in our mind when we have been designing these specifications. The first one is that these specifications should represent the most important functions for solutions. And the second one, that these requirements should be general enough to be applicable to all possible solutions, keeping in mind that we have the wildcard category as well, but that they should be still specific enough to allow meaningful evaluation of the solutions. So first, the functional requirements. We have 3 requirements in phase 1. Number 1 is CO2 emission reductions. So there we evaluate, does your solution reduce CO2 emissions, how it reduces them, and how much. Number 2 is use of AI. So we evaluate if your solution uses real AI, which provides added value to the solution. And with real AI, we mean AI that is both autonomous and adaptive, so that it can improve its performance by learning from experience. And number 3 is technical innovativeness. So does your solution go beyond the state of the art, since we are looking for solutions that are not yet on the market? Then we have 2 non-functional requirements for phase 1. First is impacts on city and citizens. So here we are looking for any benefits beyond CO2 emission reductions that your solution might have for cities or citizens. Those benefits can be pretty much anything from economic savings through optimizations to better air quality or better data for city management, whatever you can think of that will benefit the city or citizens somehow. And then we also evaluate if there are any risks or negative side effects related to the solution and how you're going to address them. And the second non-functional requirement is disruptiveness, which is, since it's nice to have requirement, it's not actually a requirement that you must have this. This nice to have means that its threshold is 0, so that you don't need to get any points from this requirement, and you can still advance to the next phase, but you can still get points from it. That will help your solution to advance. And by disruptiveness, we mean that does the solution change the status quo in business or market on some level? And I could also mention that this impacts on city and citizens, it doesn't have the 60% threshold. The threshold is somewhere around 20 or 25% for points in that. And lastly, I will say a few words about the Form E technical offer, which is probably the most important form that you have to fill and send us, because here you will be, or this will be the form that we are evaluating. So there will be a brief summary of your idea. Then you will introduce your project management plan, including the composition of your project team. Then you will describe how you will fulfill the functional and non-functional requirements, and also draft of a business or commercialization plan. And in the end, there are also a list of pre-existing rights relevant to your proposed solutions, but that won't be evaluated, of course. So thank you for your time. If you want more information, you can check our tendering guide from the link on the screen. And if you have any more questions, you can send us email to info@ai4cities.eu or in technical questions tech@ai4cities.eu. Thanks. Bye.